Hi, everyone. I'm James Proten. I'd like to give a special thank you to our sponsors for the podcast. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. We have a change of venue today. We're at Carnegie Coffee Company in, where else but Carnegie, Pennsylvania. And we're filming episode 44, Nick. We're getting there. We're getting to the magic number. And people thought it wouldn't last.
It's only going up from here.
I know. And once again, finally, by popular demand, our co-host, the lovely and talented Melissa Maglario, has joined us. And we are blessed today to have a really great show for everybody. We're joined by Officer Joe Risher of the Allegheny County Police Department, Trooper Melinda Bonarecka from the Pennsylvania State Police, and Deputy Chief Sean Hudzinski from the Port Authority of Allegheny County Police. Thank you for joining us. This is exciting. I'm very happy that you guys have come on board, and this is a very interesting show for me, and I'm excited. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I was excited to bring these guys on. I'm going to actually let Joe, maybe all you guys introduce yourself first. Just tell everybody what department you're with, and we'll start with you, Joe.
All right. Officer Joe. I'm with the Allegheny County Police. I'm the Crime Prevention and Community Relations Officer.
I'm Trooper Melinda Bondarenka. I'm with the Pennsylvania State Police. I'm out of Troop B, Office of Community Engagement.
Sean Hudzinski. I'm with the Port Authority of Allegheny County Police.
So we got a good blend. I'm excited because I think I've been working with you for about 2 years. I got connected. Somebody asked me to help with social media on the back end. And once I started seeing what these guys were doing behind the scenes in addition to their actual daytime job, I was so impressed. And then I got addicted to sticking around for all the side events that you guys do. And really it was because of the birth of the ACAP program. So I'd love for you to maybe talk a little bit about what ACAP stands for and how that's important to all the officers that work with you in the group.
Okay, great. ACAP stands for Allegheny County Communities and Police Together. It was an idea that started out in probably January of 20 when Melinda and I and Deputy Terrap from the Allegheny County Sheriff's Office were having breakfast, and we were talking about we need to, because we each are the representatives for our department in the community. That's our jobs.
Okay.
But there was so much overlap. A small community here, let's just say, Penn Hills is having an event, and then maybe Plumboro is having an event the next day or the next week, and that they could have joined forces and had one event with more talent. So we come up with those, we were tossing those back and forth and came up with the idea of ACAP. Then the next month we had a meeting. I sent out a letter to all the chiefs in the county. There's 120 police departments in Allegheny County. It's huge.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, you don't think there's that many.
So we sent out letters to about this meeting that we were going to have in February, and sure enough, the morning of the meeting, there were supposed to be probably 35 people coming. There was a blizzard, and we had so we had about 20 to 25 officers came to the meeting through the snow, and we just put it out there. This is what we'd like to start, because one department has a person who's an expert in traffic education. Another one has a department that's an expert in car seat safety for child passenger safety. Another department has an expert in home burglary prevention. And so why don't we cross these municipal borders with these talents and loan them to each other and borrow from each other and bring that to our communities?
Excellent. Now, do you guys go into schools specifically and talk to kids in classroom settings or things like that, assemblies?
So that's part of it.
Okay.
Absolutely. Schools, anywhere from preschools all the way up to colleges, and as well as community groups, senior citizen groups, and so on.
Sure. Okay. So how does the state police factor into this? You know, we have local municipalities, county organizations. How does the state police factor in?
Well, state police factor in, I mean, we have state jurisdiction, so we can go anywhere. And we just work with, like Officer Joe said, different organizations, nonprofits, religious groups, schools, and go in there. And if we don't have a program and someone's requesting something, we can make it within reason. We can put something together like, hey, we want to focus on, I'm just throwing out there, maybe just safety for 5-year-olds walking to school. Okay, we'll focus on that. And we get our group together and we focus on it, because we also have different contacts that we reach out to. Just for example, Safe Kids, AAA, where they may have the PennDOT, the stats, the giveaways, items that we can make it a more enjoyable experience.
Oh, okay. Because I know they're going down into thinking of Troop B. You know, I live down in Ross River Township, and there are communities down there, mostly rural communities, townships, that can't afford a police department, where the state police provides that kind of community policing service. But not a lot of people in the community understand how that works, right? So it's not like, you know, they don't see troopers patrolling the streets, okay? And they're like, well, we don't have police protection. Well, yeah, you do. But so how would you handle a situation like that if you were invited to a community that the state police had jurisdiction and contractual arrangement to provide police protection?
Oh, absolutely. We would accept the invitation and sit down. Hey, what are you guys looking for? And make it happen. And if sometimes we get contacted by an area that has a local police department, and as a state police, what we do is, hey, this community's asking for this event, or they want this program. We reach out to that local police department and, hey, do you want to assist with this, or do you have the resources? Because a lot of times that police department may be small. You might have 1 or 2 officers where they don't have the resources.
Right.
And that's where the state comes in, or depending on the area, county police, you know.
Okay.
Whatever departments in the area can help assist with that.
Yeah, I'd like to try to connect you with a couple of those communities, because there's not angry or frustrated, just not knowing, right? Not knowing how that whole situation, that relationship works. I think it would be good for, you know, especially you to go down and in those communities and just talk to them, explain what you just said, and I think that would go a long way.
Right. We try to make our rounds everywhere. It's hard. There's a lot of areas to cover, but sometimes just having an officer or trooper in front of you, just to ask those questions, you don't have that opportunity to ask. They like that, and we like that also.
Excellent. Excellent.
One of the things that helps you guys as ACAPT, at least that I've seen, are the relationships. And I know you're also involved with one of them is AAA, but the Big Brothers Big Sisters. I know all 3 of you volunteer. Maybe you, Sean, could speak a little bit about what those relationships look like and some specifics with the Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yes, it was Big Brothers and Big Sisters. They have a group known, it's called Bigs in Blue. And that program, basically, they pair you up with a child in a school district, and you meet with, you go to that school district every 2 weeks, and you sit down, you have lunch with the kids, and you play a game with them, you interact with them, and it runs the whole school year. And you're with that same kid for 2 years going on.
That's cool.
We've been involved, we actually started into that program. It was right around the time of COVID. So the initial for that was it was a lot of online, unfortunately, but it's been going strong ever since. The other officers are also involved in that. I go to school in Scotia Rocks. That's where I've been paired up. Officer Risher, he goes to Aiken Elementary. So yeah, it's different schools throughout the areas, and getting to know. It's an awesome program, really.
Yeah, that is awesome.
The other thing, in addition to some of these community relationships, the other thing that fascinates me are the events they've started doing on their own. So Pedal with Police, Coffee with a Cop, and it's all, your goal is really to try to get your message out that what community relations is, right? For the public to know what does that look like? And
exactly. So a lot of times, I mean, when people call the police, it's not usually their best day.
Right.
So a lot of times the only time some of these citizens see police interaction is when there's a negative thing going on. And if we could turn that into, you can see us during a positive time as well, and see that we're human beings just like you. Hey, we like to ride bicycles, or, you know, we can talk coffee and conversation
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
coffee with a cop. You know, by all means, let's go ahead and bridge that. And
Now, coffee with a cop, that's kind of a national thing, right?
It is.
You guys participate in that. I love that because obviously we're big coffee shop fans. We do the podcast in coffee shops because I think it's, like you said, you can't not be comfortable here, right? In this setting.
Right.
And that really makes you guys more human, right? You're not just a badge. You become people in this setting, right? So, you know, I found that you have 3 kids and, you know, you're a working mom and, you know, and your son just passed the driver's test. So, I mean, those type of things that, you know, that takes you beyond the uniform, beyond the badge. And I think that's so important.
Thank you.
Agreed.
And what's really good is you guys see a lot of bad things. I mean, that's the nature of the job. But they also get the chance to like meet youth where they are. You know, some of these officers like Coffee and you know, some of the other city workers are downtown at the end of a school day, and they're capturing these kids that don't have access to after school programs. And I find that fascinating because most people don't know. It's that behind the scenes work. I mean, I know you're technically on the clock still, but how do you guys go about finding where those kids are? Like some of the after school kids that don't have access to programs or maybe a good home life.
We actually work downtown quite a bit with the city of Pittsburgh in particular, and there's a few groups down there that we've become a part of. One in particular is called the Downtown Safety Coalition. It's headed by the Attorney General's office.
Okay.
Excuse me. And what it is we're involved with the various schools that are in the downtown Pittsburgh area, and we get students to come to meetings, and we try to sit down and have meetings with the students to find out what's going on with them, you know, what they need to feel safe downtown, and what they want to do after school. Because unfortunately, with no direction and no guidance after school, there's just a lot of loitering and they don't know what to do with themselves. And unfortunately, sometimes that just leads to problems. When you put large groups of kids in one place with no direction and nothing to do, it leads to problems. So we've been part of a lot of groups where we're trying to meet with the kids downtown, get a feel for what they need to feel safe downtown and what they would like to see downtown. And that group in particular that I mentioned, that's probably been the biggest driver in that. And we're working right now with Kappa in particular. It's a school downtown, and we've been meeting with them just to try to get some direction on, look, what do you kids need after school? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? You know, and we're going to try to make that happen. And again, it's certainly not just, it's that group, and that group consists of so many different organizations from downtown Pittsburgh, you know, not only the city police and us, but a host of business owners. There's so many people involved that are just trying to make that happen. And again, just keep the kids safe.
That's very cool. That is very cool.
How do you guys find resources? Where are the resources that you guys need for these kids, and like how can the community or a business owner help if they're, you know, hearing this for the first time?
Well, it's like Joe said, Officer Richard, that, you know, we use each other for those things. We all have different things that we can bring to the table and different resources. And, you know, as a group, and Officer Richard in particular, he reaches out to a lot of businesses and stuff like that. But just as the police that are involved in the group, we all bring different resources to the table. And we can all provide different things to the group to sort of help grow in different endeavors.
And you mentioned business. That's what I was going to ask you guys. Now, you know, my day job, Greenman Peterson, GPI, it's an engineering consulting engineering firm. We're very involved in the community and community projects. Can we partner with you guys and maybe like sponsor an event or do something like that? Is that?
I think you just found your stuff.
There you go, Jeff.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We would not turn away help. So first of all, businesses and policing together is a great combination.
Okay.
As Sean had said, I reach out to different businesses and say, hey, we got this event going on. You specialize in this kind of thing. Can we use some of your resources for this? And most businesses are glad to help out and, you know, support the police in that event. So we can talk.
I gave you all my card, and we would love to get involved. And it would have to be through them because they have a much bigger budget than the podcast. We have no budget.
I mean, it is the holiday season though, so this would be a good time for you to share the stuff in store.
Okay,
yeah,
so
that's great. I love that.
It's an amazing.
So one of the events that we participate in started way before ACAP started. It started, I think, 15 years ago. A detective in the Allegheny County Police Department named Jimmy Savetic and his wife Gloria started they were founders, I guess, of this chapter of the Western Pennsylvania Police Athletic League. And they're based out of Monroeville Mall. They have an office right there, but they have boxing gyms throughout the community that inner city youth can go to and be coached all the way up to Golden Gloves for free. They can go there, and and these kids show up every day after school and box, and that's their second family, actually. But branching off of that, through the WPAL, they started Stuff a Store. Now, Monroeville Mall has donated a storefront inside the mall where police officers throughout the year collect toy donations and also fund drives that purchase toys. And that culminates in November with collecting all the toys for the year, and in the first couple of weeks of December. And what the police end of it is besides collecting the toys and such, is the police know in their community who needs that extra help at Christmas,
Right.
what family might be struggling, and so on. The police officers see it every day.
Right. You guys know the community better than anybody.
We hope so. So what those police officers do is submit an email to, or a list to Stuff a Store saying, hey, I need presents for Billy, age 7, Nancy, age 5. And they give us that complete list of members in their community. And we at Stuff a Store package those, send nice lists for each department. And on the 18th of December, this Sunday coming up, actually, all those police departments come to Monroeville Mall at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's a very festive environment. We have fellowship, coffee, cookies, and such. Santa will be there. But then those departments pick up what they ordered as far as on their wish list, and take those presents back to their community, and they are the ones presenting those presents to the families. It's coming from the police. It's all about kids, cops, and community.
Excellent. That is fantastic. And, we actually are personal friends with Santa. He's been on the podcast.
He has.
Just
Okay.
a few weeks ago, yeah.
I work with him and his elves.
Yeah. So and we checked all 3 of you guys. You're on the nice list. So we're good.
Wow.
Yeah. We would have had to change things up.
That's okay. I ran you for warrants before I came on.
Yeah, I know. And so, a couple of things one funny story about when you're talking about going in and interacting with kids. My grandson, who's now 15, when he was 5, so I think the statute of limitations is up on this heinous crime that he committed. But
It was murder,
if
maybe
not, I know where he is right now, so we
Okay.
can take care of that.
Yeah.
But when he was in kindergarten, the police came and they taught the kids about 911 and how that, So he has a twin sister, and they were at our house. They were at Grandma and Grandpa, and we were going to a wedding. So as we're walking out the door, there was a telephone right there. Okay, just as you go out the door. So Caleb, I won't divulge his last name, but he decided he was going to practice on the way out the door. We didn't know that, so he 911, and somebody answered, hung up, and we left. So we're at the wedding, and our neighbor calls, and he says, "Hey, there's a fire truck, an ambulance, and 2 police cars at your house, and they're trying to get in, and they're about ready to kick the door down." I said, "What the hell for?" Right? Well, as it turns out, we didn't know that, but young Caleb decided to try 911, and so I had to leave and go home and convince them, let them in so that everything was okay. So it was like he took it literally, and he said, "I'm going to be like the best in the world at this. I'm going to set the world record for 911 calls."
He had a plan.
Which was just a funny story.
I'm thinking he's a good candidate for the Camp Cadet program.
Nope. He's past it. He's 15.
Oh, is it 15?
It's 12 to 14. We can
12 to
segue into that
14.
and talk
Okay,
about
this is
Allegheny
good.
Yes,
County
that's a
Camp
good
Cadet.
segue. That's what
Because I had the chance to go out and see one day of Camp Cadet, and it's a phenomenal program. So yeah, we can maybe recruit some.
So
youth.
you're saying Gabe and Allison are too old?
Yep.
Allison.
It's okay though.
That could have
We'll
worked.
find something for you.
You have other grandkids that are
There's always the
age
Army.
limit, so,
Oh, do I? Yeah, I have a bunch. I
Yeah.
get kids coming out of my ears.
this
I can
program. Yeah.
we'll fund them. We'll bring them in.
And we can also plug the fundraiser. It's January, right?
absolutely.
For
It's in February.
February. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about Camp Cadet and their annual
Go for it.
fundraiser. All right.
All right.
That's you.
You want me to talk about? Okay.
It's your
Well, I
area.
guess
Your
so.
baby, right?
It's my baby.
Yeah.
So I'm the director of Allegheny County Camp Cadet, and it is a youth camp for ages 12 to 14 for residents of Allegheny County. Now, there are other camp cadets, like there's a Troop B camp cadet that covers more areas, and it goes throughout the state of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But the program's been around since 1970, and Allegheny County Camp Cadet has started 2005. It's been around a long time.
Nice.
Yeah. So what happens is we have a huge fundraiser that kicks off our application process, which is in February at McFadden's down on the North Shore.
Okay.
So that fundraiser, we have a large Chinese auction down there, and please get the word out. We need
Absolutely.
people down there, because what's special about this camp is it's free. We fundraise, we have a board, and we fundraise all year round to make sure that these kids go to camp for free. And we take about 65.
Is there a website or anything that people can go to?
Yes, we have a website.
Yeah.
We have all different social media platforms for Camp Cadet. But we fundraise to have about 65 kids attend camp for free. It's a week-long camp. They come in on a Sunday, and they leave on a Saturday. And what's
Wow.
They
different
don't have
about
any
this,
phones or
right,
electronics.
when their
Nice.
parents drop them off, that's it. They don't see them till Saturday. There's no technology other than when they're being presented in a class. If they have an officer that comes in and presents to them, they don't have a phone. They don't have any iPads or anything.
That's really cool.
Nothing.
Now, where does this take place?
So we have it at Camp Guy Suda, which is in O'Hara Township,
Okay.
right on the border of Sharpsburg and Allegheny County.
Okay, sure.
Yep, the
sure.
Boy Scout camp. So they come in on a Sunday, and they do like a crime scene investigation throughout the week. We have judges come in and have a preliminary hearing and a
Wow.
trial. They do search warrants, incident reports. They get up in the morning. They get PT'd. They run, they do push-ups.
Nice.
Officer Joe here started a few years ago the plank challenge. So they plank, see who can plank the longest. I think last year, was the kid 7 minutes?
7 minutes, my gosh.
7 minutes.
He beat me. Oh,
He
yeah.
planked
Yeah,
for
that's
7 minutes. That's insane.
They do rock climbing as well.
So they have high ropes and low
High
ropes.
ropes, low ropes.
So what it does, it instills in these youth leadership,
Sure.
teamwork, self-confidence. They do things that they push
Discipline.
themselves.
I mean, that's-
discipline.
that's all great
absolutely.
stuff.
And it pushes them outside of their box, and that's teaches them to reach beyond what they thought they could reach.
So
Okay.
people can come. So we need to go to the fundraiser for sure.
The date? What's the date on that? February.
I believe it's February 25th. Let me just check
we
the
can-
date
yeah, we
on
can
that.
Get us get in touch with us on that as well.
Yeah. And
Oh, yes,
how
definitely.
Are these kids vetted? Do parents
So-
submit applications or?
Yes, but they're also vetted through their school guidance counselor, and then we interview each child before camp.
So some people get rejected.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it's not a boot camp. It's not a what do they call that? Where the prison reform kind of camp
Yeah,
for
right,
youth kids.
right.
It's nothing like that. The kids are vetted.
So it's
and
not
they-
just bad for bad kids.
It's not at
quote
all for
unquote.
bad kids, because
Right.
we don't want 65 kids with problems in a building overnight for 7 nights.
Right.
What we do is we vet them. They have to be, good students
Sure.
at school, good members of the community, and we build on that. And we treat it like a junior police academy as well.
Plus, I was going to ask you that's. I'm glad you said that. Do you guys know of, or can you document? Have any kids come through that
Oh, yeah.
camp and become police officers?
Yep, absolutely.
We got the date. Sorry.
We have Brett out of Sharpsburg
Sharpsburg, right.
Police. We have Brittany out of Franklin Regional, or Franklin
Park.
Park. It was a Franklin word.
Nice.
What other officers we have?
We have some
Kids that have
military.
graduated. Oh, we have lots of military.
Military
Absolutely.
that come back. We do throughout the year. What happens is after you graduate Allegheny County Camp Cadet, you become part of our alumni. And what we ask, since they don't pay for this camp, is give back to your community. So we have lots of community events throughout the year that we do. We actually just finished one Saturday morning called Sweats for Vets. We collect brand new sweatshirts to give to the residents of Southwestern Veterans Center. And we ask
Okay.
the alumni to come down. So we go in and we give each of the residents a new sweatshirt and a visit. Because the average vet gets maybe one visitor per month. And during COVID,
Yeah.
they didn't have anybody.
Right.
It's sad,
Right.
yeah.
It's a
So-
shame. Yeah, it is. It really is. And it's
Right.
like now, you guys, you were in the Army.
I was
Any-
20,
you guys
28
serve
years.
in the military.
I did not.
So you're the sergeant.
I retired as Sergeant First Class in 2008.
Military's a big deal. My youngest is tech sergeant in the Air Force,
Awesome.
and he's he's in North Dakota right now. But that's really important because there's a lot of, and just from talking to him, there are a lot of veterans, and I'm not talking about Vietnam veterans. I'm talking about Gulf War veterans, young people who are really, really struggling right now. And these types of programs that it's just not benefiting law enforcement, it's also benefiting the military, families as well, which is critically important in today's world.
Absolutely, they're all part of the community. It's made up of people from all ends of that spectrum, and with the programs we do as police officers that go into and see these kids in preschools, for instance, and so on, the very next day or the very next week, you might be the only officer at a domestic violence situation in that child's home and the only safe person that child can recognize at that time. And that's happened in my life, in my story, as well as others.
Sure. Just be careful with that 911 instruction.
Yeah.
Your grandchildren need to be maybe hanging out with these guys.
Yeah, I think so. We need to get them in that camp.
Camp
so
Cadet, yeah.
You got to be between the ages of 12 and 14 for Allegheny County Camp Cadet.
They're not in Allegheny County.
Well, there's a Troop B Camp Cadet that takes place in Fayette County.
Excellent. And I want to talk to you about Troop B a little bit because that hits home for me.
Okay.
Right? So something that impressed me this past weekend, Saturday, our local high school, Belle Vernon, played in the state football championship and they won. And so came back, it was in central Pennsylvania. And when we came back locally, get from Interstate 70 to 51, there were every local fire department, all their ambulances, local police departments, but the first two vehicles were state troopers, which I found interesting because I understand the local, the local connection because the Belle Vernon School District makes up several different communities, right, doing the Belle Vernon. But that impressed me because again, I think the state police, because we have two interstates, right? We have Route 51 and what's not technically an interstate, but Interstate 70 and Route 51, and they're both very busy roads. There's a lot of transient type, traffic that goes back and forth, and I think that section of Interstate 70, I think there's something like 40 or 50,000 cars a day go by there, right? So I don't think that really people get how important Troop B is in that part of the world. It really is. It's so critically important because there's so much that comes in and out of there and so much traffic and so many things that are going on. It's a small town, but yet it's really not.
A lot of people come through there.
Right. So, and they're having a parade Saturday morning in North Belle Vernon, so I expect to see you there.
Okay. It might not be me. It might be another
somebody.
representative from the state
She'll
police.
send a guy.
Send one of your peeps. I'm sure they'll be there because it's just been very, very supportive.
Awesome.
So one thing I want to say about ACAPT is departments sharing resources both in knowledge, experience, and equipment or units. Like for instance, we have the bomb squad for the Allegheny County, all Allegheny County, actually Region 13, which is a lot of Western Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But so a little town of Crescent Township might have a fair, and we can send a static display with our bomb unit and our robot and such, and be a resource for them at their community event. Just as well as the state police have provided resources to different things. But I want to say the importance of the Port Authority, the police department, where every person, one way or another, interacts with the Port Authority of Allegheny County, whether they know it or not. They either ride a bus or subway, or they drive and interact with them that way, or they walk down the sidewalk and there's bus stops every couple blocks. So having them involved with what we do, and when I go out and educate senior senators on senior driving, for instance, or teen driving or something, they're a vital resource to have at that as well, because they can teach the public on mass transit issues and traffic.
That's a good point, Sean. Can you just tell just a little bit about what the responsibilities of the Port Authority Police are? I would bet that not a lot of people really understand that.
Absolutely, yeah. And as Joe said, it's really been a blessing for our department to be asked to be part of this group. And our when we were asked, my chief was very adamant about, look, I want you to latch onto this and really go with it. And we have, because it's been such a huge benefit to us, because of most of our interactions with the public, unfortunately, are during negative situations. You know, something's happening on the bus, there's a traffic accident or something. So, and we transport hundreds of thousands of people every day. And it's just, unfortunately, if all those interactions daily are just negative, well, then it doesn't leave much room for people to have a positive opinion of the Port Authority Police. We don't want every encounter to be with them to be negative. So again, it's just been such a benefit to our department to be able to meet with these, be part of these functions and show up and get people to know us a little bit. And again, just to know that we do things other than just are out there enforcing the law. Because we have the busways we're responsible for, all the LRV. The LRV line goes all the way out to Library, Pennsylvania. The bus lines go all the way out to Beaver County. So we don't just stay and do Allegheny County. We go to Beaver County if we need to, if there's problems on the buses out there. So again, but we're responsible obviously for the patrons, for the employees, and the property at the Port Authority, and everything around that. So it's a lot to deal with. Our department is only 50 members in size, so it's we're spread very thin at times. And again, unfortunately, historically, till we hooked up with the ACAP group, those encounters that we had with the public were just always centered around whatever was going on, unfortunately, usually in a negative context. But we've had the opportunity to have so many positive interactions. And I really, the group has just been so invaluable for us in that sense. We can't thank them enough.
Buses are arguably the most visible vehicles in the county. I mean,
yes, they are.
God bless your drivers, because listen, there's no way I'd want to try to navigate one of those in the city. I mean, it's right. It's amazing that they can even do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And all those buses have cameras on them. So inevitably, whenever something happens, whether it's our incident or it's the counties or the states or the city's incident, they call us and they say, "Hey, was there happen to be a bus going by to maybe catch any of this?" And inevitably, there was every time. I don't know what it is. It's like a magnet to these things.
But what's interesting on that in their department, and I listen to their channel in my car on their police radio channel. There might be a medical situation or a theft on a bus or something in Springdale Township, and or borough, and then they have to drive out from the city or to wherever they're at. They have a regional car that goes to that. The bus will pull over and wait for that officer. Now, if it's emergent, obviously they'll send locals as well to be there first. But these guys, if it's a small incident on a bus or a major incident on a trolley, I mean, they respond all over the county for that.
Can I add something real quick? I'm sorry.
No.
Sean, I think it's important you didn't mention, and I get questions, the park and rides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They patrol the park. So if you park your vehicle there, even if you don't catch the bus, a lot of people just leave their vehicle there.
We've done that.
I just think it's important to hit on that, because a lot of people don't realize you guys patrol that area.
Absolutely, yeah. And there, unfortunately, a lot of sometimes negative things happen in the park and ride lot. There's thefts from vehicles. There's people are there early in the morning and late at night. So there's always the potential for problems there. And we always make sure we try to have a good presence in the park and ride lots, particularly in the south as well as out in the east around the busways and stuff. But
there's even a lot of behind the scenes stuff for happy things, like whether it's the Great Race or Light Up Night, right? You guys are all behind the scenes making it easy for people to come downtown.
Yeah, everybody sitting at this table is down there for things like that. The county, the state, everybody. We're all down there for that. Yeah, absolutely.
I actually ride a patrol on a police bicycle during 4th of July down on the North Shore. It's awesome.
Kennywood? You're
Kennywood, goes to Kennywood guy.
Mm-hmm. That's when you get your exercise.
That's it. I get paid to exercise. It's a great deal.
Yeah.
But there's so much community relating that can go on there as a police officer on a bicycle, because first of all, they can hear, smell, and see things that they can't if they're riding in a patrol car. But secondly, who doesn't want to talk to a guy riding a bike? I mean, we're approachable. We can see right there, and so it's patrolling on a bicycle.
Fit in areas that a car, vehicle.
They can't get to. Absolutely. So, but anyway. That's all part of it. We have horses. Yeah. We have.
Isn't the main horse? I forget the word.
Barn.
Stable.
That's South Park, right?
It's in South Park, right? That's a county police District 2, and that's where the mounted unit is based out of. Yeah. And I believe we have 8 mounts, and they are very important in policing as far as crowd control. But they also can patrol the trails in the parks to find a lost child or things like that. What's great about that, they always say, is they sit up 8 feet higher than everybody else.
Right.
And they can see over the heads of the crowds and so on, or into the areas that can't normally be seen by a 6-foot tall person. But they're also available to come out for parades and static displays and so on. The mounted unit is a very good part of the Allegheny County Police.
Can you tell me, is there a difference in I may be way off base here, but my understanding of, let's just say, the Washington County Sheriff's Department, okay? You're Allegheny County Police,
Yes.
right? So my understanding is the Washington County Sheriff's Department, they're basically officers of the court,
Yes.
right?
So in
You
the
guys are
states,
different.
yeah, in the state's constitution, every county has to have a sheriff.
Okay.
And then from that, they have their deputies and so on. Most counties in Allegheny County, the sheriff's department officers, the deputies, don't have policing powers.
Right.
They're under
Okay.
a separate chapter or title. Pennsylvania, their Allegheny County police are police officers. We don't work for the courts. Sheriffs
Right.
do. And the sheriffs in Allegheny County, sheriff's deputies also have police powers. But that's one of the few counties in the state that does.
Sure.
But the Allegheny County Police, we patrol the international airports, the county airport, as well as all the parks.
Are you a separate entity, or do you report to the sheriff?
No, we're separate from
You're separate
the
from the
sheriff.
sheriffs.
Yeah, absolutely. We have our own Superintendent Christopher Kearns,
Okay.
and we patrol the county parks, county interests. But in addition to that, we handle all the investigations for the major crimes in Allegheny County, excluding the city of Pittsburgh. So if there's a homicide in Penn Hills, we cover that. If there's a robbery in Stowe Rocks, we cover that. Our detectives handle that part of it.
Yeah, I know that in Washington County, I'm going back there because I know that they patrol the county parks, Mingo Park and things like that.
Right.
So, I mean, that's really cool. But yeah, that's a very important distinction too, because, you know, a lot of people, I have a good friend who's been a Washington County deputy. We graduated high school together, and he's still doing it. So, I mean, and he loves it. He's done it his whole life, but
Wow.
he's not law enforcement,
Right.
right? And he, you know, so that's an important distinction.
Yep. They handle the business within the courts, whether it's transporting prisoners, serving warrants, protecting the judge and staff, and transporting prisoners. I don't know if I already said that or not.
Okay.
I actually learned that don't you guys have a state trooper in the casino? Is that like regulation or no?
Right.
It
We
is?
do.
Yeah.
So all the casinos in Pennsylvania are required to have state troopers in there. Now, they're not, very rarely will you see them in uniform. They wear business suits, but they investigate voucher thefts or anything that happens within a casino that needs police presence.
Really?
So they're like
Didn't
they're
know
pretty
that.
busy. Are they pretty busy? I mean,
They can be.
They're busy.
They can be.
I would bet.
Because that casino's directly adjacent to our subway station, and they're always calling for video. They're a very busy group over there. They are.
Yeah, there's action down
yeah,
there.
there definitely is.
I would think casinos are. Wow, I'm not. That's a whole different story. But
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
the next episode.
that's
Next
next. Yeah,
episode.
we'll talk about casinos and because we're experts in
We
casinos.
are.
I've lost a lot there. No, just kidding.
I don't gamble because I'm. You know, my wife and my mother-in-law, they're slots people, right? My mother-in-law's 91, so we took them to. They said, we're going to go to the Meadows, okay? So I said, okay, not a big deal. Pitt was playing. Game was a Saturday. I said, I'll watch the Pitt game. So I go over and, the Meadows where they have the harness track, right? And the casino's behind you. So I'm sitting in a nice, comfortable leather chair. Pitt game comes on. And so I sat there and my phone went off. So I looked at my phone and it was my wife and she said, where are you at? And I said, I'm watching a Pitt game. And I glanced up and it wasn't the Pitt game. I fell asleep
Oh my goodness.
in the casino and slept through the entire game.
Saved a lot of money though.
Saved a lot of money.
Yeah.
Saved a lot of money. So
Must have been a comfy seat, huh?
it was, yeah. I'm just not a casino person. It's just like, I'm like, okay, I'm not here.
So some of the things I want to steer us back to what I was talking about with ACAP. We have monthly meetings. Departments send officers. There's a manpower issue in a lot of police departments right now. So we usually have 20 to 24 officers show up, even though we have probably like 40 departments in the group.
Right.
Not everybody can send an officer every meeting. But typically each meeting we start out or try to have a presenter to the officers that's a resource that they didn't know about. For instance, I've brought PennDOT, our colleague in PennDOT that teaches traffic safety. And she presented to the officers what she can bring to their communities if they would just ask. So we, right, exactly. So we have those kind of presentations. Then we go on with the business of our, what we need from each other. But we also try to have something that helps the officers out, once a year. Like we brought an autism speaker in last year, and it was free to all the police officers, and it was a presentation, and we had the community help out with that. We had a church donate the space and the technology for the day, and we had different businesses provide the snacks and meals and such for the officers. But so we try to educate the officers to help make their job better and easier for them. So we have calendar issues, things that we do around the calendar. So in the spring, we work real hard on the Police Memorial Week and representing Police Week. That's in May every year. And then in June, we have the Pedal with the Police, where we invite the community and we have a 10-mile bicycle ride, and it's free to the community. It's free. You don't have to. Most bike rides are 5Ks you do. You had to pay $25, right?
Yeah.
This is free. And we have static displays along the way too, and officers riding right next to community members. Then in what's our next big event we have after that before Coffee with a Cop? There's something in the summer. Just small things.
Pedal with Police.
A lot of community events.
A lot of trunk or treats
Trunk or
during
treats
the
in
fall
the
months.
fall.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
But our Coffee with a Cop is a national, like you said earlier, it's a national event, and we localize it with, the Port Authority's been very well supportive of this, where we have it at a park and ride in Wilkinsburg, where we...
You had cups too.
Yes, we get cups too, but
For free.
we're interacting with the commuters on their way to work that morning, and it's coffee and conversation,
Donuts.
and donuts.
Nice.
If only you could get donuts at your monthly meetings.
We do have donuts at our meeting.
Well, that's
You had
something
bagels with someone you went
a
she went to Swickley. I
business
remember
person
that.
could provide.
Well, and those, I guarantee you, there's a lot of businesses that would love to support this effort and what you guys are doing, because it's amazing. And you mentioned having somebody to come in and talk about autism. People in the autism spectrum, okay, especially young people, don't look on the surface like they have something wrong.
Absolutely.
So you guys have no idea if you walk up to somebody, if they're even going to be able to comprehend what you're saying, and that creates a stressful situation that, unbeknownst to that, to me, I think is a really, really critical point. That
What's
So-
kind of ironic about that, there is a connection here, because we had on a few weeks ago Kelly Kane, who runs the Autism Caring Center in Pittsburgh, and she's the one I sent you her email.
Yes.
But she talked about that too, because officers or EMT or firefighters are walking into situations that
they just don't know.
they just don't know.
So police officers go through required training, like crisis intervention and so on, that tries to teach us to de-escalate situations where somebody might be having a mental health issue and not necessarily a criminal issue. But with autism, from what we've learned and stuff, there are just so many things that could make it go south, just because of our flashing lights, and that causes a stimulus and so on.
Absolutely.
So
it's a trigger. Yeah, absolutely.
So having that presentation to the law enforcement community was, I think, really beneficial for our group.
That's awesome.
Moving on from the Coffee with Cop, then we do the toy drive, and
Yeah.
that's about our calendar for the year.
Fundraiser.
And the Camp Cadet. That's what we do in July. The big thing in July.
I mean, to add to it, there's events, big events that we have, like for Camp Cadet, that we incorporate like ACAP into. Hey, you guys interested in assisting with this, or what can your department help out with? So again, it's just what Officer Joe said, just sharing what events we have and bringing the resources to help make that event even bigger and better.
With Camp Cadet, all the counselors are police officers. It's not like we bring in college kids for that. It's all police officers. And with ACAP being this group, how many counselors were actually ACAP members? Probably half a dozen. I mean, we brought in officers from ACAP that normally would not have been involved with Camp Cadet.
What's the best way? I know we're coming up on time too, so I actually have
okay.
I don't have a good segue for these last two things, but what's the best way for people watching, whether they live in Penn Hills or any part of Allegheny County, to either get involved or get to know their local department better? Like, what advice would you give to somebody watching for how they can get to know their local officers, or just maybe they want to support in some sort of fashion?
You answer
So I think we can all answer that one at a time. Maybe you want to go.
Invite them to your event.
Yep.
I think people are hesitant. I'm just trying to think of just different things that they would normally think a police officer would attend. Hey, we're having our preschool kids outside today. Can you just swing by and say hi and drop off a sticker? something as simple as that. Just invite us.
Yeah.
Invite us. We'll show up. We'll show up if we can do
so
it.
easy.
Yeah.
That's the I mean, unless you guys have something else. That's
No,
the easiest
100%.
thing.
Absolutely. We want to be there for those things. And unfortunately, I think there's even a hesitation with people at times to invite the police to functions because of just a lot of the negative connotations that have been the last few years in the media and stuff. But we want to be there for them. We want to change that perception. And it's very rare that you'll call a police department and ask them to attend a function where they would turn you down. We want to be there. We want to be out there in the community. And she hit the nail on the head with that.
And it's a lot of manpower issues. Home departments might not have an officer to spare that day, that kind of thing. Luckily, with our departments, we have people assigned to that. Like I'm the community relations crime prevention officer. You know, she's the, what is your new title now?
Office of Community Engagement.
Okay.
But to add to that, what's nice about all of us always connecting is if somebody contacts me, hey, we have this event on Saturday and I already have an event. Hey, Joe, hey, Sean, can you guys attend this? Or we send it out to our ACAP group and maybe somebody else, I got this. We can do this. So that's a nice thing about having that connection with each other.
So some departments have these people assigned to that. Other people just have that guy who always does that kind of stuff. He's the face of that department, and he would be happy to attend those events. Absolutely. So reach out to the department. Our contact information, I guess, is going to be on the site with our emails.
Listen, feel free to if there's a website that people can go to or social media, give it a shout out so we can. We'll also add it.
Facebook, we have an ACAP. Platform.
Allegheny County Communities and Police Together Facebook page.
I mean, all of our police departments have social media platforms. Camp Cadet has one. There's definitely ways to reach us. We can give you all types of social media platforms.
We'll set all out there.
The website for Camp Cadet is AlleghenyCountyCampCadet.org.
Okay.
And our Facebook page is Allegheny County Camp Cadet as well. So that's.
Okay, can I ask my last thing?
Sure.
It's kind of cheesy.
This is kind of your show.
Oh boy.
I mean, there was times that I text and talk with her more than I do with my own wife because
listen,
she's so involved.
You guys know her and investigated me and still came. It's impressive.
We just wanted to get the show done. We're waiting for you to walk out.
And so are a few
we
of
don't
our
want to
friends.
cause a scene in your head.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it quiet. I actually wanted you to share with people watching what's a day in the life of each of you, and then we used to do these little Friday features. We left that off social media, but what's a day in the life, and then something unique that you would like people watching to know about you.
So let's start
What's
at
a
that.
day in the, an average day in the life?
So first and foremost, on a personal level, the most important thing to me is my relationship with the Lord. It truly is. And that brings right into this job because historically I've never been a community-oriented officer. And having met Joe and Melinda and a lot of the others involved in the group, it has just showed me that this job can be about service in serving the community in such a way that historically I never have. I was the cop who would go out and write a bunch of tickets and make a bunch of arrests, and that's all I did. And really, it's when I wasn't doing that in my church, I would serve and do things like that. But this is the best of both worlds now. It truly is. And again, I can't thank that group enough for that because it's really changed me on a personal level and just turn this job around for me into a way that I can serve the Lord and serve the community. And so, yeah, that's a day in the life for me, really. It is just going out there and doing great things for the community.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yours is going to be out there. Go for it.
Why do you say that?
She doesn't sleep.
So in a day in the life of me, well, it's different every day. On a personal level, I have 3 children, so 8, 5, and 8 months. So you don't know when you're going to sleep, when you're going to wake up. So it's different every day. And as for the job, it's the same thing. You have your planned events or meetings or whatever, but you don't know what the next call is going to be, where you're going to be going, what someone may need. Like I said, with this group, you might get a call. Hey, someone called me. Do you have 10 minutes to run here? And you squeeze it into your day. So it's just like any police officer. Your day is just different. You don't know what you're going to deal with.
I agree with that. Our start times are never, like a lot of people say, I work 8 to 4. I work 9 to 5. I work when there's work, and that's almost around the clock.
Right.
So you got to like that kind of lifestyle. You got to like to have to be anywhere that you needed to be when you can be there. My some days would start at 7 o'clock in the morning, walking out the door, going to, or 6:30 in the morning, walking out the door, going to a high school first thing in the morning kind of thing. And yet that evening I have a senior citizens, a presentation to senior citizens at their center, or we have a Camp Cadet board meeting, or, things like that. So the day could be 14 hours before you know it. So every day, the start time is different. You got to look at your calendar and say, okay, what time am I getting up tomorrow? In between the community engagement that we do, we still have reports to write. We still have emails to answer. We still have meetings to go to. And then on the back burner, there's always something that we're working on in the long run, like the stuff a store. I'm working on that starting October every year, and that's on the back burner. So how am I going to dabble on that today? We have the Camp Cadet fundraiser in February. What do I need to do today for that? So there's always that in the back burner. So your days, and sometimes it's 7 days a week as well.
Well, and you guys are still police officers.
Absolutely.
You had a traffic stop on the way over here this morning.
Yes, sir.
So I mean, you're still, you were coming here to do this, but you're still a police officer, and that all has to come, into it as well. And I got a question: is that your body cam on you?
It is.
Is there by any chance you have that on?
Not for this.
Oh.
I didn't want to interfere with the.
I thought we were going to be able to get. Oh, I was going to get you.
I didn't want to interfere with any equipment or anything, so I turned it off.
We could have got Gabe on camera and really let it, because he doesn't like being on camera.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
He's like he won't do it. There you go.
So these actually. So we wear them with them turned on, and there's a couple of different ways they activate. If our emergency lights get kicked on, these will get kicked on.
Oh, okay.
It's connected to the car.
Holster draw, taser activation.
Yep.
That's pretty high tech, actually.
That's amazing.
But if I'm just walking up to
Gabe,
and he's looking like he's going to give me a little hard time, I just hit it here twice, and then it turns on.
Would you immediately be on alert if you ran into a character like that? I mean, he's just he just looks like trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not Allison. Look, that's a good guy right there. That's a good guy right there. Listen, he's the hardest working man in show business right there.
That's awesome.
I mean, he's great. Great. One more thing, a couple things, but we won't keep you here all day. But you mentioned the Camp Cadet board. Is that all police officers on that board, or are there community people on the board as well?
Good.
No, that is a combination of police officers and civilians. And our board consists of 25 members.
Oh, cool. Cool. So how would if I wanted to serve on that board, how would I go about doing that? Would I just reach out to you and say, hey, if there's an opening, I'd love to serve, or how would that happen?
Well, you reach out to me, you would attend some meetings, show your interest, and you get voted in. We vote you in.
Excellent.
And and just to add
No. We're not. Yeah, we're not. Well,
just to add the Camp Cadet. So when we were talking about what we do on a daily basis, and Officer Joe said about things on the back burner, we work on camp all year round. So as soon as they graduate from camp, which is at the first week of August, that Saturday, we're already working for next year. Okay. So there's always things on the back burner that are going on.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be able to, because my grandson, he's a hardened criminal. That would probably.
No, just don't bring him to the meetings.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to see. But this is, guys, I've learned so much about the relationship that you guys are building, not only with the community, but also interdepartmental. I mean, that's important, because at the end of the day, you guys have to rely on each other. As much as we in the community rely on you, you have to rely on each other. And as you said, 120 police departments in Allegheny County. I thought it was absurd that there's 130 communities, but 120 police departments. Yeah. That's crazy.
Is now the time to name the departments that are not part of ACAP yet?
Do you want to call
Shame
them?
No, so I
Don't
think
do that, Jeff. Don't do it.
I think departments that aren't part of ACAP either A, don't have the manpower for it, or B, don't know about it. They changed chiefs since the letter went out. I mean, that's one of my things this year is I want to send out a new letter to those departments and say, hey, in case you haven't noticed, this is some of the things we are doing, and come join us.
Sure. I would think every department that understands, that knows about you and understands what you do, would want to be a part of it.
It's tough, though. Like you said, I mean, some of these departments, they have 2 guys working at a time, and they just can't always afford to send someone.
Yeah.
So
sure, there's definitely a lot of that. So, in closing, we have a little bit of time left. how about, I would like for each of you to just kind of, parting thought, just to, it could be anything, just whatever's on your mind, a parting thought of, as to, it could be being on the show and be, whatever's on your mind.
Probably just to go back to a little bit of what I said earlier, the importance of community-oriented policing. And it's just something I never realized in my career until I met Joe and Melinda. And it's just, it's a lot of work. It's a misconception that, everyone always thinks the community-oriented officer just has the easy Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 schedule. That is so not the case.
Right.
And ask either of them. And, but it's just invaluable. You need to always, give back as much as you're taking out of the community. And unfortunately, the negative encounters are kind of ways of taking out of the community, because that's all people see. And you need to be giving back as many positives. Right. And this group does that without a doubt. They've shown me a new way of policing without a doubt.
Excellent. Excellent. And how long have you been in law enforcement?
Since the start. I've been in law enforcement now 28 years.
28 years.
Yes, sir. With the Port Authority for 24.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent.
Wow.
Thank you. Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. And
thank you.
I learned something about the Port Authority Police that I didn't know. We've done from the engineering standpoint, done a lot of work with the Port Authority, obviously, some design work and things like that. But I didn't have any idea that you had such a robust department. I mean, I realize you're spread 550 people, but
sure.
I didn't even think that.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, that's great.
And remember, there's always cameras around. So
always cameras. Always cameras on the buses. If you see a bus, don't do anything bad.
Please.
Melinda?
Just kind of echo a little bit what Sean said, but if you're hesitant, get to know your local police department. Know what resources that they have, what things they can help provide you with. Get to know them. Like Officer Joe said, a lot of times when we have that interaction, it's not always a good time for somebody.
Sure.
And that's why a lot of departments have community engagement officers, just so there could be those positive interactions. And that's why we all work so hard to make sure that we're out in the community and have those positive interactions. So reach out to your local police department, get to know who they are, invite them to events that you have. We enjoy it. We really do.
They're in your community. You guys are in the community. I mean, it's you're one of us, so to speak, right? It's not like you came from Montana and they put you here to be a policeman in the Port Authority.
Nope. I live in Penn Hills.
Right. So, and how long have you been in law enforcement, Melinda?
20 years. I've been with the state for almost 18, coming into my 18th year, and I work locally for 3 different departments in Allegheny County.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. How about you, young man? Well, parting thought.
So, a couple things. To the community, reach out to the police departments and ask them. And if they don't have that resource, bump it up to the next level. Go to, if your town doesn't have it, call the county, call the state, and so on. We have so many resources to bring to your community. It could be anything from teen driving. I had a homeschool group reach out to me a couple weeks ago. I do a child passenger safety program called Buckle Bear.
Nice.
I have a Buckle Bear.
Okay. So I do that in preschools and stuff to teach kids about riding in cars safely and seat belts and so on. This homeschool group had no idea that was available. They reached out to me. By all means, I'm coming to your library, and I'll do that in January.
Awesome.
To your 3 to 6 year olds. So reach out to those communities. I'm the oldest man. No, I'm not the oldest man in the room, but I'm the oldest person of these 3. But I've only, you'd think, hey, this guy's been a cop forever, and I've only been a policeman 9.5 years. This is my 3rd career. I was in the Army for 28 years. For 25 of those,
career?
Oh yeah, 25 of those years was an Army recruiter.
Oh, okay.
Recruiting healthcare professionals, doctors, and nurses. My boss said to me, my superintendent said to me at one point in my career here, sell the county police. You sold the Army for 25 years. Sell county police.
There you go.
And that stayed with me because you're even as a police officer that's not a community relations officer, you're selling the county that town's police to the community, and I take that very seriously.
Well, you're marketing. All of you are. Every police officer, when you put that uniform on, you go out into public, you're marketing.
It's your brand.
It's your brand. You're absolutely
sales,
right.
Yeah.
That's so very true. And there are some small communities in Allegheny County, outside of Allegheny County, that I work with, and I've done municipal engineering for a long time. So I've represented dozens of communities, and big and small. And one of the things, the biggest cost to that community is their police department. If they have a police department, that's the biggest cost, right? And it's usually the longest report, you know, when everybody gives their report to council, it's the longest report. But that is such a big chunk. I mean, I know communities where their police department is literally 75% of their annual budget. You know, so be patient. That would be my message to the public, is to be patient with your police department. As you said, get to know them. And I'm going to connect you guys with my local police down there in the hinterlands of Troop B to see if I can get, let them see if they know about the program and see if they can get involved, because I think what your guys are doing is really, really cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe and have a great holiday.
Thank you.
You
as
guys
well.
too.